Welcome to The Explainer. All right, let's just dive right in because today we are unpacking a seriously motivational framework for snapping out of your comfort zone and literally mastering your own mind. We live in an era where, let's face it, it is incredibly easy to just coast, right? To avoid the hard things and let our days kind of slip by in this blur of passive consumption. But the concepts we're looking at today, they completely challenge all of that. They demand that we look really closely at how we're spending our time, how we deal with discomfort, and how we can systematically build a life of genuine achievement. So, we're going to explore the exact mindset and the actionable steps you can use to take back control. There's this fascinating concept from the source material. Insanity and greatness are next door neighbors, and they borrow each other's sugar. I mean, how great is that? We're going to explore why reaching true mastery in literally anything requires shutting off massive areas of your life to just eliminate distractions and wholeheartedly embracing intense, scheduled discomfort. To the outside world, that level of dedication, it can often look like absolute madness. People might honestly call you crazy for your obsession. But as we'll see throughout this explainer, greatness and insanity often share the exact same neighborhood. And tapping into that obsessive drive is exactly what you need to elevate yourself way above the baseline. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, running from discomfort. So, to really get this, we have to look at a modern epidemic that is just quietly eating away at our potential. On one side, we have boredom, which, let's be honest, we've been conditioned to absolutely fear. And on the other side, distraction, which is our go-to medicine. The source points out that we have this ingrained instinct to constantly run from the tiniest, frankly, smallest frustration of boredom. The exact second we feel it, what do? We pull out our phones, we medicate every single moment of discomfort with endless scrolling. But here's why this is a huge deal. When you do that, you are consuming a diet consisting only of other people's input. It's kind of like living entirely on a diet of just fruit. Sure, it might taste good in the moment, but you're missing the essential nutrients. More importantly, your distraction is actively eliminating the quiet space required for original thought. There are specific, brilliant ideas that will only come to you when your mind is completely empty of external input. When we run from boredom, we're literally running from our own potential for innovation. Which brings us right to Section 2. Force yourself to schedule. If distraction is the poison, what's the cure? Well, the ultimate antidote to all this aimless distraction is forcing yourself to adhere to a strict, uncompromising schedule. We've all seen, or, maybe even been, the aimless gym goer. You show up, you don't really have a plan, you pick up a jump rope for a minute, maybe hit the heavy bag, do a few bicep curls, and then you just leave. There's no real aim. And honestly, that's why people pay top dollar for personal trainers so someone else can tell them exactly what to do. But you don't need to spend that money. You have to become the scheduled warrior. You have to become your own trainer and mandate a clear, purposeful plan for yourself before you ever step foot in the gym or start your workday or begin that new project. And the best part? You don't need any fancy equipment or big money to start taking action right now. You just need to write down a brutal routine and absolutely force yourself to finish it. The source suggests this highly effective, totally free bodyweight routine. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 chin-ups. You write that down for today, and you do not stop until it is done, even if it takes you all day long. Even if you have to do 10 push-ups, take a 20-minute break, and just do 10 more. The standard is set. Half doing things is just no longer an option. Life is simply way too short to half do anything. So, how do we build this into a sustainable lifestyle? Because you definitely don't want to crush yourself so hard that you just give up entirely. Step 1 is writing down your exact physical plan. Step 2 is executing it strictly on specific days, let's say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You get after it no matter what. By following these strict steps on your scheduled days, you start building incredible physical and mental momentum. But step 3 is honestly just as important. You have to learn to truly appreciate your days off on Tuesday and Thursday. You earn your rest. When you follow this structure, your recovery days feel profoundly satisfying, mostly because they stand in such stark contrast to the grueling effort of your workdays. Moving right along to Section 3, discipline versus focus. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You're probably saying, but I'm just not a naturally disciplined person. Well, hold on a second. Often what we misdiagnose as a lack of discipline is actually just a lack of focus and passion. Just imagine an unmotivated student being forced to study to become an electrical engineer. He hates it, he has zero drive, he never does the homework, and he completely fails to execute. People will point right at him and say, man, he lacks discipline. But take that exact same guy, put him on a golf course, and if he absolutely loves golf, he will practice every single day from sunup to sundown until he achieves professional mastery. Suddenly, he looks like the most disciplined guy in the world. The source material highlights that discovering your obsession, whether that's martial arts, a creative pursuit, or building a business, is the ultimate cheat code. Find what you are genuinely obsessed with, and the discipline will naturally follow purely because you are completely focused on mastery. But you still gotta build the actual mechanism to endure. And that brings us to this fantastic concept summarized by a quote from Jocko Willink: discipline equals freedom. True discipline is born when you find that focus and force yourself to endure it daily. I mean, Jocko is famous for waking up at 4:30 a.m. every single morning to work out. He posts a picture of his watch online just to prove it. There are no excuses, there are no days off. He puts in the work before the sun even comes up. So why does this matter for us? Because forcing yourself to execute every single time builds an internal mechanism of endurance. Once you know you can rely on yourself to do the hard things, it grants you absolute freedom. You stop being scared of difficult tasks because you know, without a doubt, that you have the capacity to continue to perform. It literally eliminates fear. Okay, let's shift gears into section 4, the value of struggle. Why even go through all this trouble? Because this represents a massive game-changing paradigm shift. A struggle you choose to embark on provides infinitely more benefit than a struggle life just throws upon you. Look, we're all going to face tragedy. Life is going to burn you eventually, for sure. But you get a profoundly greater benefit from a physical or mental struggle that you willingly choose to engage in, whether that's martial arts, pushing through a brutal yoga session, or forcing yourself to finish a trail run when you're halfway up the hill and just want to quit. When you choose the struggle, you own it. You are actively teaching your brain that you are the author of your own resilience, and that perfectly prepares you for the unchosen tragedies that inevitably arrive. And choosing to struggle triggers this incredibly powerful, predictable psychological timeline. Let's walk through this together. On day 1, you put in the hard work. It's grueling. By week 2, you start to see these tiny little increments of improvement. By month 1, that improvement translates into measurable success. By month 3, that success gives you a massive natural dopamine rush, that undeniably good feeling of accomplishment. And by year 1, you walk away with something irreplaceable, unshakable confidence. You finally acquire the deep-seated knowledge that you can overcome difficult things, even when it initially feels utterly impossible. You learn that right on the other side of forced discomfort is an irreplaceable sense of satisfaction. And that leads us to our final part, section 5. You are not your failures. Embarking on this aggressive path, it pretty much guarantees that you are going to have days where you just completely fail. You're going to have days where you suck. But how you frame that is the absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle. A lot of people have a hard time defining themselves, and when life burns them, they define themselves entirely by their failures. But the source material is adamant here. You are not your failures. You are the resilient entity, the learner, that is experiencing those failures and extracting the valuable lessons. Your life is really just a series of lessons. If you did stupid things in the past, that does not mean you're a stupid person today. You are the learner who survived those mistakes, and now you're armed with the incredibly valuable knowledge of what not to do. Dwelling on past mistakes isn't smart, it's not healthy, and it certainly isn't empowering. You have to separate your current self from your past errors. So you really have to stop dwelling on the version of you that made those mistakes. You got to recognize that you clearly have the capacity to take action today. The whole question of, I don't know if I can do it, just vanishes the second you start actually doing it. So we're going to leave you with this final powerful thought from the source material. If you forced yourself to follow a schedule today, if you willingly embraced the struggle today, you obviously possess the capability. So ask yourself, if you did it today, what is actually stopping you from doing it tomorrow?